This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So Shabbos Cholamoid, we learn Megillas Koheles. Who wrote Koheles? Who wrote Megillas Koheles? Shlomo HaMelech. Shlomo HaMelech wrote Koheles, Mishlei, Shiur. There's a discussion, which one did he write first? But Shlomo HaMelech definitely wrote Megillas Koheles. And toward the beginning of Megillas Koheles, Shlomo HaMelech mentions that in life there are 28 different times. What does that mean, there are 28 different times? So Shlomo HaMelech says in the beginning of Parak Gimel, Eis Lameds, Eis Lamos, there's a time people are born, time people die. Eis Tas, there's a time people plant, and a time people uproot. Eis Laharog, time that people are killed, time that people are healed. 28 different times. So the Gra has a question on these various times, and that is, if you look at the various times, two of the times are missing the letter Lamed. For example, right, it says Eis Laledes, a time to be born, and a time Lamos, to die, a time to plant, and a time to uproot, a time to kill, and a time to heal. But then it says Eis Sifoid ve'Eis Rukaid, a time to eulogize and a time to dance. Why doesn't it say Eis Lispoid ve'Eis Lirikaid? Instead it says Eis Sifoid ve'Eis Rukaid. So here's a little bit of a clue. If you look in the Baal HaTurim, in Parshas Pinchas, when it talks about the counting of all the Shvatim, it says Livnei Ruvain, Livnei Shimon, Livnei Yisachar, Livnei Zevulun. And when it comes to Naphtali, it says B'nei Naphtali, and it doesn't have a Lamed. So the Baal HaTurim says that's because Sheva and Naphtali didn't have so many males, they only had females, and therefore it doesn't say a Lamed. What does Lamed have to do with the males as opposed to females? Why does it say Lamed? Only by the other Shvatim they had a lot of males, so it says Lamed. By Naphtali they had a lot of females, so it doesn't say Lamed. So let's go back to the Gra. Why by the various times of Shlomo does it say Eis Sefoid ve'Eis Rekoid? Why doesn't it say a time to dance, a time to eulogize, and a time to dance? So the Gra says as follows. Lamed represents what? Lamed represents learning Torah. And you're allowed to be Mevatel Torah to go to a Levaya. And you're allowed to be Mevatel Torah to go to a Chasana, like the Gemara says in Ksubis, Mevatlan Talmud Torah, Nehoitzas Hames, Machnafsas Kala. So since when it comes to eulogizing, you're allowed to be Mevatel the Lamed, it doesn't say a Lamed. Since when it comes to dancing, you're allowed to be Mevatel the Lamed, it doesn't say a Lamed. One little problem is, there are another 3 times that it doesn't say Lamed. Eis Kenois Avonim, a time to gather stones, it doesn't say Lichnois Avonim. Eis Milchama, it doesn't say Li Milchama. Ve'eis Shalom, it doesn't say Li Shalom. So the Gra, actually, in the Shnois Eliyahu, he addresses all 5 times. Another question you could ask, before we get to this, there seems to be a 29th time that Shlomo doesn't talk about. Eis lasois lashem hefiro Torasecha, a time to act for Hashem, you're allowed to break the Torah. So why is that time not mentioned? So the Gra says something very interesting. All 5 times are times that you're allowed to be mevatel from learning. What are they? Says the Gra, Sefoid, an Ovel themselves is not allowed to learn, and a Chasen is pater from Talmud Torah. Eis Kenois Avonim is someone busy gathering money, Chazal say. Torah won't be found by someone who's gathering precious stones. So therefore it doesn't say a Lamed. Or, the Rishonim say, it's referring to building the Beis HaMikdash. Someone who builds the Beis HaMikdash is pater from Talmud Torah. Eis Milchama, remember when Yehoshua was going out to war, in the nighttime the Malach said, hey Yeshua, why aren't you learning now? Remember that Gemara in the beginning of Megillah? The Malach came to Yeshua and said, why are you learning now? That implies that during the day when he was fighting a war, he had an excuse not to learn. So we see when you're involved in Milchama, you're pater from Talmud Torah, so there's no Lamed by Milchama. And then Shalom, you're allowed to erase Hashem's name for the sake of peace, so by Shalom it doesn't say a Lamed. The Sefer Asher L'Shloimeh says that would explain why the Shlomo HaMelech doesn't talk about Eis Lasois LaHashem Efiru Torah. That's already included in Eis Shalom. So we see from here that the letter Lamed represents Limud HaTorah. And therefore the Chidah says in Parshas Nitzavim, when it says Klal Yisrael was thrown into Galus, it says Vayash Lichem with the big Lamed, indicating why were they thrown into Galus? Because of a lack of Limud HaTorah. And since Chol HaMoed, what's the purpose of Chol HaMoed? For a person to have more time for Limud HaTorah. So Chol HaMoed is, you should spell Chol HaMoed with a big Lamed. Ches, Vav, big Lamed, indicating that it's a time that we have more time for Limud HaTorah. Okay, Rabbi, say have a wonderful day, a good Tumayed. So what about Naphtali? Why does it say Lamed? Why doesn't it say Lamed by Naphtali? Rabbi Nachman wants to know. Because since Naphtali had many Nekevos, but they didn't have so many Zecharim, and Nekevos are pater from Lamed, they're pater from Talmud Torah, so therefore you don't have a Lamed by Sheva Naphtali.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.